With the hope to find a better life for themselves and sustainability, with the documents they have, all the doors of opportunities are closed. They are shut out of all the fundamental human rights. No access to shelter. When opening bank accounts, transgender people usually suffer because their gender identity does not match with the gender seen physically. In social places, people are usually afraid to associate with transgender people just because they don't have any legal identity. And because of transphobia, transgender people experience a lot of violence and bullying. In the education system, just because of the birth certificate, transgender people also experience a lot of discrimination, and sometimes they're not even given access to scholarships. No job opportunities for transgender people just because of the documents they carry. Traveling becomes hard for transgender people because also their documents still don't talk about them. Transgender people are forced to stay in a dark corner mentally just because no one understands them. Because of the birth certificate, there is no hope at all, and the paper does not identify their gender. And in most cases, transgender find it hard to navigate through spaces just because the society knows that we only have female and male. When they show up in public spaces, they are subjected to violence, bullying, and name calling. And sometimes you find that they don't have enough confidence because their gender is not legal. The issue of documentation does not only affect the transgender community, but it does affect everyone from all walks of lives. From pastors, family, community, service providers, and social people. All these people have no choice but to treat transgender people unfairly, without respect and dignity, just because transgender people have no legal identity. And in most cases, people usually question themselves, how then do we call this individual? Do we call them women men, men women? But they also have questions, but they do not know how to identify transgender people. Gender roles should be the one that decides the name of someone in society. I mean, come to look at it, when people in my wood where I'm coming from, I come from a very high density suburb where there are so many people. At the end of the day, you see people enjoying calling me girl this, girl that, hi girl, how you doing, girl this, girl that. You know, they make fun of it, and then sometimes they think that they take it as if like it's entertainment, when in actual fact, that's my identity. Because of pressure from society and societal expectation, transgender parents have no choice but to end up chasing away their children, giving them away to a life that is difficult. When transgender people enter into the world, they are exposed to a lot of hardships just because of the documents they carry. After being chased away from home, transgender people have no choice but to opt for the most undignified places to stay, just because there's no one who would want them by that time. And knowing very well that the society has been constructed by birth certificate, and if you cannot align to the gender or the sex that was given to you at birth by the doctors at the hospitals, you will not be taken as normal in society. Even when chased away from home, transgender people still carry on with their gender roles. They don't change, they don't become something else. They still remain feminine just because that's who they are and that's the way they feel. In society, people will always look at them as if they are not normal. People will always discriminate and chase them away, not because they want to, but just because they do not know how to identify transgender people. With all the talents they have and all the qualifications they have, that can contribute towards the development of the country's economy and help their families. All this is rendered as useless just because of their identity documents. Transgender people usually face a lot of mental problems just because of the rejection, and in most cases, also not having anyone to talk about what's going on in their lives. It becomes so difficult and hard for them to just coexist in society. When they now stay in those unsafe spaces, they resort to sex work, and by that time, that will be the only option to give them access to cash. And in most cases, transgender women are raped, bullied, robbed out of the little they have, leaving them hopeless and miserable. Sometimes they are kidnapped and gang raped as a form of correctional rape to try and make them to be masculine, but still they remain the same. After facing so much discrimination from the community, transgender women lose hope and give away their lives to drugs and substance abuse, living in serious poverty and undignified lives. With all the good qualification and talents, they will be rendered as useless just because of the issue of documentation. Transgender people die around the world. Some commit suicide, some are murdered, and some just disappear from the face of the earth just because they're not having any legal gender identity, leaving behind their parents hopeless and without any way to even fight for them. Thousands of transgender people have been swallowed by the grave just because of the issue of not having any legal gender identity. There are over 20 countries around the world that have legally recognized gender. Somebody might ask, what is legal gender recognition? Legal gender recognition is the acknowledgement before the law of one's internal and individual experience of gender, as they feel who they are and what they are. Just like in all countries, we have the right to go and change our names and surnames when we grow up, especially if you were given the wrong surname. You've got the right to go to the Home Affairs and apply for the surname change or a name change. The legal gender recognition works like that. When somebody is now old enough to say, this is not my gender, this is not how I would like to be identified in society, they can go to the Home Affairs and apply, and they are approved in other countries, right? So that they will not face the stigma and discrimination and the violence and and all these other things that happen to transgender people when they're navigating through spaces with their documentation. Somebody might ask, how does the legal gender recognition process works? Okay, For the trans and gender diverse community, there are 4 options that are placed on the birth certificate, especially on the sex or the gender marker. The first option is alien, the second one is others, the third one is blank, and the fourth one is the gender, whether female or male, right? I'll explain the first three of them. These 3 are used especially for the gender diverse community, whereby you do not identify whether to be female or male. On that sex part on the birth certificate, they put others, blank, or alien, right? The female and male, right, are put on birth certificate or IDs or passports of transgender people who have started their medical transitioning journey, that are transitioning to the other gender, right? So that it becomes easy for them to travel, especially when they carry their documents. You can't expect somebody like me, for example, to carry an ID that's written male, or at least I'm now looking like this. It doesn't make sense, right? So that is how the legal gender recognition process works. Countries that have legally recognized gender have not only saved transgender people from discrimination, violence, and stigma, but they've also restored the dignity of their parents. Parents are now able to live with their children in safer spaces and are able now to be able to identify that this child of mine is a transgender person. This child of mine is different. These countries have not only done a great deal by so doing, but they've also, restored the trans and gender diverse community into the legal systems, helping them to access the fundamental human rights, access to job, access to healthcare, freedom when traveling, without being stopped at the airport by being searched by the security guards. Is this really your paper or not? Allowing the society to also identify and say, these people are part of us. They've got their legal documents. These are people just like us. They are not animals. We are not supposed to kill them. We're not supposed to violate their rights. We're supposed to love them. We're supposed to be one, right? I thank you so much for taking this wonderful opportunity today and listening to the story. I know that there are some people that you've seen in our community that are transgender. I know that there are some parents there who are struggling to identify their children at home. Please like and share this video. Share it with the transgender parents. By so doing, you are saving lives. By so doing, you are stopping the parents from chasing away their children from home. By so doing, you are saving the blood of the transgender woman who doesn't have legal gender identity currently, but in future they will, definitely. Thank you so much. Your girl Leona, lots of love from me to you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye world.